podcast. We are here. We are excited that you have joined us this Tuesday. Oh my gosh, guys, I was dragged against my will. You guys know Karan Ashley does not do horror, but this is a democracy on this show. We all contribute to the topics. And one of the biggest movies of the year, $44 million later, Nope, came out. It is being acclaimed as the sci-fi horror western that the world has been waiting for. And Jordan Peele has done it again. He has put out a hit movie that everyone is talking about, not just Hollywood, but everybody. It is huge for the culture. And you know, the host with the most, all of us, we are going to discuss it. We're going to break it down. So before we go there, Hilton George, how are you? How is your week?
Great. Oh man, listen, I gotta show y'all something. Y'all ready for this?
Yes.
I have got a shirt from this group that I work with at Thurgood Marshall Academy. Are you ready for this? Look at this. Can you see it?
Yes.
Head
BLERD in charge. I get a shirt like that. Oh, I love it.
So yeah, this is a group of nerds at this charter high school in Southeast DC. And they have come to BLERDCon, for the last 2-3 years. I've come to their school and spoke to them. It's an amazing group of folks run by a couple friends of mine, Lena and Bobby, and we'll put their last names out on
Lena and Bobby. What's
that? They're running it out there, and they are raising some great BLERDs and bringing them in. So I had to, when I got the shirt, I said, I got to wear this on the BOP, and here it is. So I'm in a great mood. I'm in a great mood. Yeah, look at me.
Love that.
You know what? I love anybody that is harnessing, protecting, and encouraging the BLERD community. Yes. So head BLERD in charge. I love it. Lena and Bobby, wherever you are, we're sending you so much love. Christi Renee, how are you? How is it going?
Listen, I'll be better when Lena and Bobby send me my L.
You know what I'm saying?
I need an L in that shirt.
I see what I can do for you.
Yes.
My shirt is pretty dope too. Y'all have to you gotta appreciate my shirt.
I love it. I appreciate it.
Yes, that was a great meme turned into a great shirt.
Listen, and I'm the queen of theme, right? Around here. So I try to be appropriate to the whatever we're talking about. So I love this. First of all, Prince forever and ever.
Forever. Amen.
The dig, if you will, this picture, honey, he's drawing the mountains. We about to talk about some mountain ranges and some clouds and some horses.
Some pretty clouds, some lovely.
I'm doing great though. I'm excited because this is right up my alley, and I'm happy. So let's get to it.
Christi Renee is the head of the Jordan Peele fan club. She has already threatened to cut me. So if I end up cut BLERD bot followers, it's because she cut me. Because I've said something that she did not agree on this review.
That started yet, Lisa.
She already fine.
Though, before we get into the depth of this movie, because this movie was deep. This movie had a lot of Easter eggs, I went and I did a lot of research before I went. I did even more research when I came out. But it has started a craze. One of the things that I don't think they expected was a vintage tee craze. A lot of the shirts that, Keke Palmer was wearing, a lot of the hoodie that, that they had on. It was just a lot of references. Jordan Peele is always going to be a multi-layered kind of brother. And everything means something. Even the tiniest of things have a deep hidden meaning. And it was a different movie because you guys know I love thrillers. I love sci-fi. I'm not big on horror. I don't like to be scared because I get freaked out, and the stupidest things make me have a nightmare, and I have enough problems sleeping, so I don't even go there. So I dragged my nephew. Shout out to my nephew Lee. I dragged him with me, and I was like, Christi has known Lee since he was born. I was squeezing his arm the whole movie. But it wasn't a horror film that it wasn't what I expected. There were some moments.
Lee is 4.
Yeah. Lee's actually in his 30s.
Even though Karen and I are still in our 20s, Lee is in his 30s.
He's now older than me. He has now grown up to be older than me. That makes me think of a whole nother set of lies I told my other nephews. Right. I would notoriously lie about my age. So one of them was like, "So you're older? You're younger than my mom. My mom's older than you." And I go, "Yes, she is." Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, if we're talking about the film, I liked the film. I thought the film was great. I was entertained by it. Did I love it? I'm not loving it the way that everybody's loving it. And I don't know. Yeah, nope. That was my favorite part. That was my favorite part because that is what I would do if I was ever put in a situation where there's a murderer, an alien, or something hiding. Whatever. I'd be like, nope, nope. I am the first one to go, nah, man. Like, I'm going to run that way while everybody runs. Point. Like, I just always am like, why would people investigate some shit? I ain't investigating nothing. If it feels creepy, I'm out. If the house makes a noise, I'm out. Like, that's why I don't stay in Airbnbs, because that is someone else's space that I ain't been able to investigate. I
go in saging, honey. I got the
yeah. So okay. So because I'm not, this was something out of my wheelhouse. I'm gonna let you guys talk first. So Hilton, we know what Christi feels. How did you feel about the movie? What is your overall feeling on Nope?
I hit up a really good friend of mine, Zero Gravity. She's got a really great podcast that she started, and I've known her for a while, but she's a horror maven. And I hit her up first, and I said, Stanley Kubrick, 2001. And then she was like 100%. And I never had to have a follow-up conversation because I already knew she was great. If you haven't seen 2001, A Space Odyssey, because you were not born in 1968, cool. This movie by Stanley Kubrick used a lot of imagery around the monolith. Even if you haven't seen the movie, you've seen the monolith. It's been a theme. It's giant. Yeah. The monolith actually is the letterbox screen that debuted in the 70s in Lawrence of Arabia, and it was a new way to view movies. And Stanley Kubrick used that as the alien, used it as the protagonist that told a very, very deep and still hotly debated story 30, 40 years, 50 years after the movie has come and gone. This movie is doing exactly the same thing. There is so much to dig into. There's so much imagery. There's so much metaphor. There's so much subtlety to the story that's being told on the surface. Beneath the surface, there is art, there is theme, there is tropes, there is, just so much going on. And I've only seen it once, so I'm going to have to see it like 6 or 7 more times.
Yeah, you got to see it multiple times.
Really open up to everything that's going on. But assuming you, the viewer, and everybody here has seen it, you notice that once the UFO opens up, what do you see? You see the exact measurements of a cathode ray tube, the old school television, which was the window into the murder, where the monkey was killing the cast on the show. Part of that. That was also a part of the storyline and the exact measurements of the first film ever taken of a black man on a horse. Same dimensions. And you cannot be killed by this thing if you do not look at it.
Right.
See what I'm saying? We're seeing media.
You can't be killed by it.
Portrayed as the monster that if you ignore it or if you don't make eye contact with it, it won't kill you, even if it's right there behind you. Right. Yeah. So there was so much metaphor in this, and I was like, oh my God, he's doing a Black Stanley Kubrick. I got to watch this movie 75 more times. Because every little thing matters. Yeah. Like every nugget of this movie matters, from the keys and coins falling from the sky to the name and the history of the UFO Purple Ranch to, the names of the horses that were sold. And all of those things matter. And if you're not a person that likes to dig into movies like this, literally sifting for gold in the sand, along the riverbank, then this movie is going to kind of catch you on your heels, and you're going to be like, oh, okay, I kind of got it. It wasn't, The Shining. I wasn't,
right.
But it was really, really well done. And if you can see what's behind every little action, every little note in the movie, and even if you don't know what it is, but knowing that they are saying and doing more with every scene, that for me was just so enjoyable. And this is why I think this movie is going to end up winning a lot of awards, because
it's going to win.
The people who watch these movies and give awards, Oscars, Critics' Choice, you name it,
they're waiting for those.
That's the kind of movie that they love, and this is the kind that gives them that window to fall into a movie and that tells this deeper story. So this movie is going to bounce around in the theaters for quite a long time.
Yes,
it is going to be across every stage for awards that are going to happen for the next year and a half. And there's going to be a lot of people like me trying to look a lot smarter than we are, being able to recite every 30-second block of this movie in cocktail parties across the country. Well, what you didn't notice, Now, Carl, I know that you think that you thought because you own the DVD,
dream,
but
it's
listen,
a philosopher's dream.
I'm telling you, in 2 hours, 13 minutes, screenshot 17 seconds. I'm telling you, the whole movie opens up. The whole movie, it's a different movie. Like that's gonna be.
So this is the thing. Like, I don't want you guys to think I did not like the movie. I liked the movie, and I liked everything that you're saying, Hilton. Those were the things that set me on fire. I think what I didn't love about this movie, and I'm only jumping you, Christy, because I want your reaction, because I know Christy's gonna.
I'm about to burst.
She's ready to choke me, put me in a chokehold.
Turn my screen away. So
right. Don't witness the violence. Don't witness the violence. I love the movie. I just wish it wasn't sold to me as a horror film, because for me, it was a thriller. It was a sci-fi Western. There was elements of horror, but I was never like, I honestly scared myself to go see it. And then when I got there, I was never scared. Like,
Oh, you weren't scared?
No, I wasn't scared. I was just like, I was creeped out at things. I mean, obviously the monkey and that threw me for a loop.
Rough.
And I had an issue with it. Like, yeah, like that was
playing.
Yeah.
Bubbles was not playing.
Gordy was on one, right? And I even like the symbolism that held with the modern day story of the woman who was attacked by a chimp. And like, I mean, I'm telling you, I read so much stuff on this. But it was like the crux of the movie. I was enthralled. I was into it. I love the history of the cowboys. I loved the stories that they were telling, how we've been left out of the history of movie making. I loved all of the things that you're saying. And I especially loved the fact that, it was like, media will kill you, but you cannot, if you don't look into it, if you can save yourself, but I guess I just didn't, I didn't feel this was a horror film. Like it wasn't horror for me. So I was I was kind of agree with that. Yeah, I was actually like, I went in with a whole nother mindset. And so then I'm sitting there mad confused. And I felt that distracted me. But if I would have just been told, go see this movie, it's a sci-fi Western thriller, there are horror elements, then I would have been like, oh, fuck yeah. But I think because, the movie studios, Jordan Peele is known for horror, and he's known for being this amazing, like layered writer, and there's all these things. I think the studio wanted you to go, and they, how they almost feed you what they want you to know. Like if someone's known for making R&B music, they're gonna sell that record as R&B. They'll never let that R&B artist sing rock. They'll never let them
dead
do.
At Christy's shirt, nodding my head, going, yep.
Yeah. They'll never let them do pop music. They'll never let them do gospel. They'll never let them do country. They want to hold them in the box. So I felt like the studio, the way they sold this to us, or someone who was like me, I'm a new fan of Jordan Peele. They shouldn't have done that to me. They should have let me go in and just watch it and then go, oh my gosh, and not having
needed to see an advanced screening like Christy
you wouldn't have gone.
I did,
and then you would have missed some of the preview stuff, and you would have went in with a clean slate.
Yeah,
you could have gripped Christy's arm because y'all.
Yeah. So it wasn't that I didn't love the film. It was just that I went in expecting one thing and I got another, and then it kind of just threw me off, and I was a little perplexed.
You thought she was going to Bojangles and they pulled up at Outback. That's all.
You know?
I get it. We've all been there.
Exactly.
No,
but I will say
that ain't fair.
I will say this. I did not like the movie. I liked the movie after I came back and like had to process. And then I was like, you know what? I liked it for these reasons, and that's what I need to hold on to. Miss, why is your head all cocked funny?
Yes.
I didn't say anything bad. I just said
I'm just ready to go.
film.
I'm about to burst.
Yes.
I'm about to burst.
Okay, burst. Let's go to burst.
That's it. I'm just about to burst. I'm ready to get to it. I cannot. First of all, let me just say this.
Yes,
it's Jordan Peele. This is his third masterpiece in this space. And here's the thing. In this film, first of all, Get Out is rated a horror. If you want to, it's not a slasher. Horror has so many.
Well, it's a different type of.
It has so, but that's the thing. It has so many different facets. To that particular genre, we have expanded it beyond boo. You know what I mean? All of his films. First of all, I can't say a bad thing about Jordan Peele, the way his brain just pours out into film. He's
a genius.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And here's what I got from it. Here's the message. The real horror is us. We are the horror. Humanity is the horror. The things that we like to bring Gordy and to make this whole chimp situation the way he does it in this film is like saying, again, we're the horror. What the fuck do you have a chimp at home for? Like, why do you have the python? Why do you have we're the horror? It's like we've just got to one up each other or one up this thing that we create in our minds that makes us better than. So we're the horror. And he puts humanity on notice. And every film he has created, he has put us all on notice to look at ourselves, because we're the fucking scary people if we're not careful. And so just all the things like Hilton, everything you said was like, oh my God, even the horror of if they didn't promote this as, which it is still a horror film, even after watching it, I'm like mortified. I'm mortified more than I am at watching your typical horror genre. If it is a boo factor, hell, the boo factor for me is, damn, what do we do to each other? What do we do to the planet? What do we do to nature? What do we do to animals? What do we do? All the things that we do, right?
Yeah.
We pervert so many things that were not meant to be perverted. And so that's the horror. And I feel like that's the central theme of the film, is the main character of it. The references and the homages that he pays. One thing he talked about before, and we said this in another episode just leading up to this movie. And yes, I saw it. I saw it beforehand, and I'm just, oh my God. And my daughter has seen it. She's the youngest in the household, and she's seen it twice already. She went back this past weekend to see it again with friends. And it's like, oh my God. What he does, Jordan Peele has a classic, really iconic way of paying tribute to the things that either horrified him or he really, really liked in his films. And so he always has said the 80s and 90s, it's just scary. Those things from those different eras that are identifiable from those eras. And so listen, Stanley Kubrick, hands down, that's like everything. I mean, with the keys and the shit falling from the sky, that was a tribute to Poltergeist. Like the house with covered in blood, it was like the walls were bleeding, like a tribute to, I could just pull from different movies, a tribute to Amityville. You've got it. It's just so much. It was so much greatness in this, and to center it around something that's very uncommon. Right now, we've got recently. And I love this. And I know that this may not have influenced. I know, give me my moment, honey.
Yeah,
this
you got it, girl. I'm giving it to you.
This may not have influenced Jordan Peele, but it ties in because, we have a horse owned by a Black family whose name is Black Lives Matter. He's been winning shit, and they got to holler out Black Lives Matter at the derbies and at the horse races. And it's like, That's not common. And so to take this Black family, make them the focal point in doing raising movie horses, and just having this farm and having struggles financially, like it's just telling all the stories. And to have a Black family owning land today I know this is a few years ago, but it's another decade. But the point is, it's like, that's another horror. I want my 40 acres and a mule. Like that, it just ties in so many things. Listen. And there's some other eggs that need to be.
Listen,
I don't care about the triple screen.
When she said, listen.
Did y'all see the Hilton? Did you catch the scissors at the end? We had our us scissors. So he's even now being able to put things from his own films and carry them into, because I'm sorry, Jordan, I love you. You inspire me when I write. Two of my soundtracks, y'all know my soundtracks to when I write I love Michael Abels, and I love that Jordan brings him back film after film. Michael Abels, I follow him on Instagram. I love his work. I use the Get Out soundtrack. I use the Us soundtrack. And then I also use The Handmaid's Tale. Those are my, and Halloween. Those are my four soundtracks that I write. And when I
writing session,
because I'm a creepy writer, like that's what I do. I love this dark. It makes your mind, it twists your mind. And that's why I feel like it's such a success, despite if you thought it is still a horror film, because it is horrific what we do. It's always about us. We're the scary people. We really are. People are scary.
I agree with that, but
that's the thing. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody.
Well, I won't say it's not for everybody. I think that like I said, I liked the movie once I had a chance to step back and take away, like, for me, it wasn't, I don't know. For me, it was, I loved it's almost like what I loved about Jordan Peele and what I've learned to really like about him and his writing is that it's almost like a history class. It's almost like you get the history of things you didn't even know. It's like it's the retelling of the real history of this country and the retelling, and it's such a contribution to the Black community, but it's an even bigger contribution to the world, because there's a whole generation of people who didn't know that they've been lied to. You didn't know that you've been lied to all these years and all these, I think like Get Out, I've watched pieces of it and it creeped me out. And the thing I didn't like, for me, I like, he's always kind of psychologically fucked with me. And so sometimes I can't shake that off. But seriously, I can't shake it off. So for me, I have to be in the right mind space to shake it off, but what it really opened the door to, and the foundation is I think it opened the door to people and like the inbred racism that people didn't even know they were carrying, the things that they thought were normal. And they was like, well, I'm not wearing a hood. I'm not saying the N-word. I'm not walking around with a pitchfork. So I'm not racist. But it was like all these other things that happen and that you do, that you're basically, you're aiding and abetting, you're contributing to a racist foundation that is just inbred in this country. And so that's what I love about Jordan Peele, even on a bigger scale, is that he's like he's like the guy who comes and flips the switch and everybody can, like, when it's dark in a room and someone turns the light on and your eyes take a long time to focus, he's that focus that just kind of makes you see things in a different way. So for that reason, I love the movie. And
that's reason enough.
But it took me a day or two to come to that. But think about that. For me to go watch a movie and I take 2 days to resolve it, that says something.
He's doing his job. That's what that means.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I will never, like, I'm not going to say anything disparaging. I didn't, I'm not going to sit here and go, oh my God, it's the best movie I've seen all year. It didn't do that for me. But what I will give him credit is that he was able to add a layer of focus on things that I didn't even realize that I needed. I did have some, like, as a writer, I think all writers, we go to a movie and we've got this like internal pad of, checks and balances. Like, you're sitting there over analyzing a story. You know, I wanted the whole monkey, the whole sitcom thing to tie in a different way, or tie into the current story that was being told. Because honestly, when they went to the, that's why you might have, let me just say this, and you can explain it to me, because I know you guys have a different level of understanding of Jordan Peele than I do. But I thought, like, when it came to where you realize that Gordy, that was the Asian character, right? Gordy had, he knew about this alien, and he got all these people at his show, and they're all there. And the girl from the sitcom that got mauled and her face, what was left of her face, was there. I thought he was working for the alien and was feeding them to, and then you realize it's not even an alien. It's a monster. That's basically, you think it's an alien. It's a monster that's coming down, and just a carnival that's just going to come and eat. And he's feeding. So I thought at that moment, I was like, he's feeding them to them. He's feeding, like, he's in on it. That's what, because he's disturbed. He was the kid that was under the table that had survived, but he didn't leave this unscathed. He's a monster too. He's feeding them. And I thought it was going to be revealed that he was feeding them to this monster, and then he was going to turn on Kiki and David, and he was trying to feed them, but then I realized, like, he was a sucker too, because he got ate up. So explain it to me, where, because I didn't find a connection in those two things, and I was kind of like, well, maybe I missed it. I don't understand.
The connection comes more in the explanation that when he told the story. So if you think about it, the monkey and the monster are wild animals, both of them, right? And he was doing, in this later part of his life, the same thing that failed in the first part of his life, in trying to domesticate and turn a wild animal into a TV show star, or for entertainment, because it ultimately went bad with the monkey.
At his ranch.
Yes, the spectacle.
Exactly. Yes. And so what happened was that when he told the story, I was like, oh, there's the tie-in. Here's a guy who watched, this horrific outcome of taking a friendly monkey that was playing according to the rules, give me a banana, I'll do the little thing or whatever. And one day the monkey woke up and said, nah, he got spooked. He just had enough. I'm a wild animal, and therefore I don't subscribe to rhyme or reason that humans do. Right. So here he is using these horses, because what his show was that the horses he was buying from the ranch, he was feeding to this animal, this creature, as part of his show.
For 6 weeks, this was going on.
Right. And that's why there's like, where are the horses? I want to buy them back. And he was real nervous. Yeah, sure. We'll talk about that, right?
Yeah. And he was willing to be distracted by Kiki, who was like, "Oh, look at this! Oh, look at the office."
He don't want to talk about getting the horses back, because they're gone. And so he had set up this tacit arrangement with the creatures that I'm gonna set this horse out here. We have this noise that summons you. You come, you eat the horse. I sell tickets. Boom. And then you saw it all go wrong. Like, wait a minute, it's early. Okay, well, we're gonna work it out. And the animal went crazy again and killed everybody.
Siegfried and Roy.
It's the same thing. He even said that in the movie. And so I think that is where the tie-in is that you have this force of nature, this wild animal that you are trying to control, and it ends up controlling you. Now, the further reveal that, this is basically a synonymous with a cathode ray tube, and being television and media has that same metaphor, but that's kind of where those things tied in. Now, I got that right off, and there's probably some other ones in there. I'll probably need to see it 3-4 more times to really see the other feathers. But, it's not lost on me that, you've got the guy from the Best Buy, fictional Best Buy,
Angel,
playing
Brandon Perea is
awesome. He comes in and he's adding all of this additional media and screens, and none of it works. It all shuts down. The house is the human, right? The TVs and the technology inside the house are your brain. And when this thing comes around, all of that shuts off, and the only thing you can see and hear and encounter is the monster, i.e. the flying saucer. So those, there's so many of those things playing in the background that you don't get in the first viewing. I totally get it. But what I think about in my mind, to your point, is Napoleon Dynamite was the same way for me. I did not see this in the theater. I thought Napoleon Dynamite was the stupidest movie.
A long time to appreciate
I did
it.
not even smirk my initial viewing of Napoleon Dynamite. 24 hours later, I am regurgitating all of these scenes and I am cracking
Vote for Pedro.
up.
It was like it almost hit you too hard with the dumb stick, and then you realize like this is genius.
It's like THC. A lot of people, first time they smoke marijuana, don't get high.
They like, what
happened?
Then
they're like, this isn't anything. But the next time you go back, now that THC is in your system and your brain can recognize it, and then you smoke again, and then you get high, and you're like, wait, this is the exact same thing. And I didn't get high the first time, and I got high the second time. I think that we were going to see, with a lot of Jordan Peele's movie making, that is the effect that I often get. First time I see it, I see the surface stuff. And there are definitely horror elements, and the sounds that were in this movie. The
score was off the chain.
And the sound effects for the creature, the saucer, and then when it unfolds into this thing, and it's
paper mache.
and it's like this.
It was quite beautiful.
It was beautiful.
But if I saw it, I'd lose my shit.
I would look at it.
Right.
This is one of the things I didn't think about. I was like, it was too beautiful to be a horror monster, but
the whole point.
But the whole point was it wanted you to look at it because it was so beautiful.
And that's all at once. And remember,
but it took me 2 days to like reconcile that in my brain. And
but you got to remember why it unfolded. The reason why it unfolded was the same approach, because we kept flashing back to the dad taming horses. It's like there's a certain way you break a horse. And once you break it, then you can do what you need to do. And the unfolding of the saucer was him breaking the horse, not looking at it, going off and following him.
It was like doing more to get his attention.
Right. Like, hold up. All right. Now I got to do something else to get you to look at me. And then all of a sudden he's, to a certain degree, is now in control of the creature. And the creature is like, it's all unfolded. And that is why the inflatable, doll ultimately popped and destroyed it. Because it was like totally exposed. Every part of it was out there in the open. And it was just so desperate to get its attention that it was like, there's something with eyes looking at me. I'm going to go and eat that. And then it, boom. So you see all of these things playing out. And it's like I said, it's just like THC. It's like you watch it. It's like there's the boo factor, there's the laugh factor, there's the dialogue and the script, which on the surface is great. But then you also recognize that undertone. I am confident that we will have another show about this movie because you're going to see it again. You're going to see it again, and it's going to win. It's going to win an Oscar. It might be a year from now, and we talk about it. And we're going to be like, you know what? Karen is on her third viewing, Christi's seen it 8 more times. I've seen it twice more, whatever.
Christi will see like 50 times to my 3.
Yeah, like now
I'm sitting here trying to see what can I sell to go get some more tickets. I'm gonna have to pawn.
Girl, I'm gonna buy you some tickets. I want you to live your best life.
But before I let the mic go, I also want to say that we, the viewing society have to figure out how do we categorize or not categorize Jordan Peele, because to your point, he's in this niche as a horror storyteller.
I don't want him to be that. I think he's bigger than that.
He's so many other things. But I think it's only with Jordan Peele are we having this challenge, right? Because John Carpenter tells stories that are both hilarious and interesting and complex in the horror genre. But these movies aren't like jump scary all the time. He does great horror. The same thing with Stanley Kubrick. He did 2001, and he's doing these other things. There's so many layers that we allow for other directors to go in. But the conundrum all of a sudden with Jordan Peele, the industry can't quite figure out what to call him. Right. And so we get this thing packaged as a full blown horror movie, which. It's a thriller and it's mystery and it's a horror.
It should have been.
I think it's multiple things.
I wish they would have.
No label.
They need to. If we're an industry of storytelling and we're an industry of creating something out of nothing, they need to be able to describe this man as that. They need someone to describe. Like, I don't understand why. It's so funny. You come from a genre of creatives, but no one can be creative in describing someone who's multifaceted, And that would have been like, to me, it's like, I feel like Jordan Peele deserves everything he gets because he's so layered and he's so multifaceted and he is such his brain works in a different way. Like, I can honestly say I'm a writer, but my brain doesn't work on the he's on an alien plane, and that's a beautiful thing. And I think that if it would have been packaged to me that way, I would have been like, oh, give it to me. But I was sitting there like this half the movie and nothing came for me. And
I don't know that
it just distracted me.
I don't know if the Black audience is ready for that yet. I don't know that if it's not given to us as it was given, because the metaphor of the title and the way that the word in the title was used in the movie resonated with us the way it did. If it had not been a horror movie, does Nope resonate with a comedy? Does it resonate with a thriller?
Right.
Does it resonate with a mystery? I mean, so on one hand, I'm comfortable.
I need people to become bigger. I need them to think bigger.
I'm with you on that, but
I agree. Absolutely.
But I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if we're there yet.
I just don't think there's anything wrong. I don't think still there was anything wrong with calling this a horror. It is many things. I mean, it's going to be funny. You got freaking Keke Palmer. Can we please give her flowers?
Well, she was my next topic, because obviously he had amazing cast in this movie.
Yes.
Daniel Kaluuya was amazing. All the people were amazing. Stephen, what is his name? Stephen Yeun is amazing. All of the actors are amazing, but this movie was Keke Palmer's movie.
Yes,
whether she was meant to be, the top billed actress, she stole every moment was hers. Like, the camera we could not get enough of her, but it was just because her character was so real. A girl that acts like that, a sister that does that, like someone who just pops up into your day and just like disturbs it all. And just, Keke Palmer, I met her when she was, God, she probably was like 15, 16 years old. And to just see her career blossom and flourish, she deserves, like you said, she deserves all her flowers. And I'm so excited that Hollywood has finally, and it's hilarious, like the topics and the subjects that have come up this week. Of course, they're going to try to compare her to other actresses and blah, blah, blah. But I'm just so happy that they're finally seeing her as the leading lady, multi-talented, ridiculously just gifted woman that she is, and it was like this. I'm so glad that she was able to bring that to this movie and just shine.
To your point, she is exactly like how she is in real life. Let me tell you, a few years ago,
she played herself in this movie.
But her energy, just that she doesn't have to create a lot of that. She doesn't have to go and do like study acting, how to be cool, down to earth, funny, haha. Like, she is that person. We met her. We took a group of all-stars, basketball all-stars, our high school kids. We celebrate every March, and we went to K104, one of the top radio stations here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We went, shout out to Cat Daddy, because oh my God, he gives us love every time we do anything.
Yes.
She pops up on us at K104 at the radio station. And Karan Ashley, we grew up there. So, that's part of our history. She pops up and turns their world upside down. Like, these guys are like, it's freaking Keke Palmer in the studio with us, just because. And when I tell you, I have footage to this day in my phone, just because she was so amazing. Her song had just come out, so she just had that Boss song come out, and she was promoting, and she was at different places, but she came by that night, which is odd because a lot of people pop in, in the morning, early morning show. She came by that night and turned it out, and she is that girl. Like, her energy is so amazing, and I'm just so grateful, because I know she had a spell where she was trying to like really get on, and she was doing it publicly. She was all these, sketches she was writing and doing and acting in herself.
Well, she's a comedian. Like, a lot of people don't give her that credit, that she could honestly go to a stand-up. She could go to a comedy store or whatever.
Right.
And she could do a 20-30 minute set. Like, she honestly could do that. And that's where I said she's so like multi-talented, multifaceted. And a lot of actresses who come from, child actors who come from, Nickelodeon, and they were, they had to do comedy on a kids show. You kind of deliver the comedy and you have this comedic timing. You forget that people like this, if you have comedic timing, 99.9% you are going to deliver in a dramatic scene. Like, you can be comedy, drama. That's why some of the best comedians make for the best dramatic actors. But because Hollywood boxes you in, and you only get, like, she was only getting certain roles and certain stuff. I'm just so happy that Jordan Peele said, we got to get Kiki on this. And like, he even said in an interview I watched, because they were saying, did she audition for this? He goes, audition? There was no audition. Like, Kiki Palmer is not going to audition. Like, he goes, he didn't necessarily say he sat there and wrote the role and said, I was thinking of Kiki Palmer. But when they were looking at actresses, he was like, when we thought about her, it was like, oh my gosh, yeah, it was a no-brainer. Like, this is her. Like, this is who needs to play this part. And she can handle the dramatic elements. She can bring us the joke when we need it. And she can, add to the intensity of this, sci-fi drama / horror / yeah. So I'm so happy. I just was like, Kiki Palmer was everything in this movie for me. Like, it almost made, I was almost like Daniel Kaluuya, just like, he was totally the brother that would be the brother to a personality like Kiki Palmer. Because Kiki Palmer, her energy would swallow the energy in the room, so he's low energy.
He wore him out, honey.
He would just look at her, and just the looks between them was everything for me.
It was automatic chemistry. God,
outside of Kiki Palmer, who were some of your other breakout characters in this series? Hilton, did you have any?
Well, I was going to say, Kiki Palmer had some moments that I think a lot of nerds are going to, if you haven't seen it already, references. Are going to love. Yeah. And one of those is the Akira bike slide. Now, if you don't know anything about Akira, there is an iconic scene where he is running, he's being chased by Tatsuo, and he cuts this hard, square on, sliding away from the camera, like, on this bike that is just so iconic.
Yeah.
And for her to do that slide, frame for frame,
all the BLERDs jumped up out of the
theater. Listen, I was in the theater not with BLERDs, and I was like, oh man, and everyone's like, what are you talking about? It's because it's this 1990s anime, and it's kind of
dork.
No, you're not at all. Nobody gets it. All right, cool, whatever.
Such a BLERD.
Michael Wincott.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
So Michael Wincott. You may not remember him because he made me want to take a sip. He plays this role, and his face is not like played out right on the screen from the beginning. We don't really get to see his face.
Well, you know what I loved about that? Just to kind of jump in, it was almost like the voice was the character, and he was, and it was like Jordan Peele's genius.
Put him in there, exactly.
Yeah,
you may remember him from The Crow, where he kind of had his breakout role. Where he was the main villain in that movie, and he's just got this gruff, pseudo. Just
only
crazy.
God could have made that voice. Like, where did that come from?
Really,
where does that voice
Willem
like that
Dafoe
come from? It's iconic.
Mixed with, I don't know. It's just really
80 packs of cigarettes. I don't know what that is.
Coffee, followed by a yodeling competition. Like that's what he walked in with, and he was the guy with the vision. Like, he was this guy that you brought in a horror movie. There's always like a medium. Or somebody who is the guru that can come and achieve the goal. of whatever the MacGuffin is in the movie. In the Poltergeist, it was a short lady. I can't remember her name, but she came in and mapped out the house, and this
It's
is
like,
what's
run
going
to the
on.
light, Carolyn.
Run to the light, Carolyn.
And she had a weird voice too.
Yeah, she had a weird voice too.
She was this big.
And once he gets engaged and on screen, you can see like just him being the one kind of driving the movie.
Yeah.
And he gives himself over again with the metaphors. He's supposed to be like a Stanley Kubrick. He is a cinematographical genius, in this storyline world. And when he witnesses the creature, he's like, I have to get the shot. I will die for this shot. And he goes out there with a camera that he created, and he gives himself to the creature, and he's filming all the way up into its mouth and everything. And what happens is that this is a scene where people who have been unwillingly dragged into their death by what is the metaphor for media, this man gave himself willingly to media because he knew it was the only opportunity, it was the best opportunity, and he was the only person who would appreciate this way of dying in order to achieve this shot. And just watching him recognize what he was doing, and he had some recognition of what the creature was. And you could see it like, oh no, this deserves more. And he unhinged that camera and ran. Everyone's like, what the hell are you doing?
And then he goes,
I got it. And the fact that he sold that, the fact that he sold that was pivotal to the movie. If he had not sold that scene or sold his role, then the whole movie would have fallen flat, because everyone else is kind of like trying to figure out what's going on, and he was the only person who got it. He was the only person who understood.
And even said, he goes, we don't deserve to see this. You know,
like, we don't deserve miracles or
you don't. This is he was sucked in, but it's almost like the whole, like you said, the whole metaphor of the movie of where it was so what is the word? It was so seductive. It was so like it just sucked you in. And then the angel character was like, he's saying weird shit, and he was like he's going crazy, I really enjoyed that angel character. Like I enjoyed the fries, because if you don't know, the store fries, it's basically the Best Buy looking store that they went to is a store, an iconic store here in LA. It was in Burbank, and they had several.
A real store. Okay.
Yeah, they had several. locations.
We had them here in Texas.
But unfortunately, just like during the pandemic, one day they just literally just one day they said, oh, Fry's is closing, and it closed the next day, and
Fry's
people
were.
Yeah, and it was
but better. It was more warehouse style.
It was better because it was like for the real person who's into technology, and if you needed a hard drive, you go to Best Buy, you're paying $200, you can get the same one for $50 at Fry's. So this is for them to go in the store, and it's totally like this store was the best, because it was like they said, outside the store there really is a spaceship that's crashed into the front of the store, and you walk around, and there's like they didn't know set dressing. I knew
that was a fictional spot.
No, this is a real store in Burbank, and it's no longer there, but it closed right after the filming of this, and it also closed. Like it was awful when this happened. Crazy. But you would walk in, and it was like part 50s diner, part like movie making. There's a car hanging out of the wall. There's a big animal that stands in the front. Like it was just crazy. And me and my husband love Fry's. Like we would go there if we needed a phone cord. We'd go there, and you literally would spend like hours in this store of just electronics and TVs and computers and
just
plugs
anything.
You could buy like snacks. Like they had all the snacks. When you would be online, they had 80 different kind of chips. Like it was crazy.
Fries was bomb.
People who are native, like people who live in LA and people who've lived here, like like that. When I saw Fry's, I screamed. And the fact that they referred to it as Fry's and all of that, it was almost like a homage, like a homage to something that had gotten killed too.
Right.
Because of the city. Because you go to Fry's now, and it's like a desert island. Like it's like, oh, fries. It just is. It's like it's weird when they close something down, how quickly it decays and how quickly it
and
just
it's spooky. It's creepy.
yeah, and it
It's
just
creepy.
loses. And they have this big fence around it now, and no one knows what they're gonna do with it. But
Hey,
but
and
yeah,
I want to say something just to
yes.
tag on to that whole the fries truck, of course. Well, the van.
Mhm.
Listen, this is another little Easter egg, and again, my kid was the one that had to tell me about it.
Oh
I was
yes,
I was like, damn, that's why I got to go see it more and more and more and more because there's so much more. But the extra Easter egg she got the second time around was the license plate. There's 1111 is on. That became famous after Us. When you see 1111, 1111, 1111, like we do it all the time. When I pick up my phone at 1111, I don't care AM, PM, whatever. If I catch those numbers, I'm like, oh my God, but I'm more conscious of it now after having seen Us. So those are other little things. Like I said, I just appreciate that he's able to now take from his own masterpieces, not only pay tribute to what has inspired him, but now he inspires himself. I want that for my life. Like, I just want to be my own inspiration.
I don't know if you realize this, but I don't know if you know, but like Wakanda Forever, the new movie, is premiering on 11/11.
Oh, absolutely.
That is we cannot let that day go by.
You can't hit Christy like that now. You can't just
already
like that.
No, it ain't. I already
talk about that.
That was the first thing that came to my mind was, oh my God, and it's coming out on 11/11. So of course I'm making all the connections. Oh my God. Yeah, and it's 11/11/22. So that's going to be a big day for a lot of people. People get married or whatever, some magnificent monumental moment in your existence is everybody's kind of focused on that day. So it's perfection, just absolute perfection. Oh, you have another question?
Yes,
can I tell
go
another moment? Hilton, did y'all feel this at the end though? Another one of my favorites, most greatest things. I love Quentin Tarantino. And so another tribute I felt was when the dust clears and Daniel Kaluuya is on Lucky and they survive and that dust is, I was like, and the Western sound, I was like, oh damn, it's a tribute to
like
Django.
It was like that, yeah.
It was Django.
Yeah, I got a little Django.
Was that a reference? Was that the reference? Okay. I love that. Okay. I love that moment anyway, because I was like, please don't let him die. Like, I don't want him to sacrifice himself. Like when he did this to her and was like, I was like, do not sacrifice yourself. But I was like, okay, he can't. Oh God, come on. But great. Yeah,
it's so great. All those moments.
Oh yes.
And I know there's 17 other moments.
So anybody out there who's not seen it yet, and if you watched this much of the episode, then shame on you for jumping into all the spoilers.
Yeah, right.
You have to go and see this movie. I recommend, I insist that you see it in the theater. This is not a movie that lends itself, that does not lend itself to distractions of home viewing. And you know what I'm talking about. Phones ringing, you got your device, you got kids, you got dogs, you got people coming to the door. You got a chicken in the oven or something like that, and you're doing all of this.
Don't be distracted.
You need to be subject to the movie experience at least once, at least the first time, so that you can absorb and be kind of captivated in a proper way with this movie. And I don't think that anybody, who I mean, I count myself as an exception because I do watch movies and it's like a church and I'll answer the phone, I'll answer the door.
Hey, I was about to say, I go in.
I'm watching the movie. If it ain't on fire or bleeding, I'm not watching. Home, right?
There are so many things that could distract you. So it's like, you're right. When you go into a movie theater, your phone is turned, like, it's almost like you're put in a place, your phone's off, it's dark, it's this, give yourself that moment to see this, if for no other reason, for the beautiful cinematography on a big screen. You need to see the cinematography.
And so much of the stuff that we mentioned, so much of the stuff that we mentioned is Easter eggs and things we noticed. I don't know if you would have seen it on like a 55-inch screen TV in your living room. Like that can kind of escape you from across the room. Whereas if you're watching in a movie and it's like all right there, you see those little subtleties, the sound effects. Like the sound that the ship is making half the time is just the people inside the ship screaming because they're being eaten. but we don't
Yeah.
know that until halfway through the movie, and you're kind of like,
Right.
this sound.
It's
It's like this
the
screaming sound in the opening of the movie, and he almost sees something in the clouds, and the stuff is falling. You know, this isn't the first time that this creature is eating human beings, because there's change in keys coming down at 150 miles an hour. But what is that sound? He can't quite figure out what it
feeding.
is. Right.
Feeding.
And we learn this as we go through, but you know, some subtle things like that might get missed if you're watching at home. See it in the theater. Do yourself and Jordan Peele a favor. This is the way movies get rated. Studio don't give a damn about weekend 2.
Exactly. And that's the thing. If nothing else, go see this movie, because Jordan Peele deserves his flowers, and he deserves to have the #1 movie for consecutive weeks.
Yeah, he does.
And you know, and he deserves, and I mean, he's obviously a Hollywood legend at this point. And I love his story. None of us even expected it. Like, he was a part of a comedy duo and this and that. And we, like, who knew there was a genius, like, just sitting there writing movies? And he just hit us with it. And so, yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. And I mean, for me, this is not a movie that I would normally even go see, because they put horror on it. So I was like, I ain't gonna go see no horror. Like, oh my gosh, the trailers like freak me out.
I had to threaten you. Yeah. You better go see.
Well, no, because this is the thing. I said I'm gonna go see it because this is a show they want to review, and I would not, like, we give all this love to Marvel and to all these superhero movies, and I feel like it's our obligation to give the love to Black filmmakers. Yeah. And if we're BLERDs, that is our obligation. And I will say this, if nothing else, go see it, because I feel like again, I said, he is like the history lesson teller. I don't know, what is he, a scribe? What is he? He's a genius. What is he? He's given us information we didn't know we needed, that we were taught. Like, I think at this point we can all we can all acknowledge that the history you were given as a child was a modified, very edited version, very whitewashed version. And you need to understand what actually happened in this country, so that you can understand the person who's across from you, the person who sits next to you, the person you work with. You can understand their experience more when you understand the trauma that people come from, and the generational curses that we're all sitting here carrying. In order for us to get rid of it, you got to understand it. So go see
movies as a masterclass.
Yes,
a masterclass.
I would not be surprised at some point there's going to be some sort of film, like you know how you can go and take a course. There's going to be a course on Jordan Peele and his filmmaking and just storytelling. There's got to be. So, but guys, thank you for watching the BOP.
Wait,
you got one more thing?
Huh? We can't finish. We gotta give it our bops. How many bops are we?
Oh, yes. Okay, how many bops? I'm gonna go last.
No, you go first.
I'm gonna go last. I always go first.
I'll go first. And only because I would do this if it were just any kind of rating system. Mm-hmm. I'm not done rating this movie.
Oh yeah,
this movie
I need to see it again.
Has got more to say to me and more to show me, and I have to go and I have to see it again and again and perhaps even again before I can absorb it in its totality.
That layer,
and give it a proper rating. For what I anticipate giving this movie, I think that from a movie viewing, single entertainment weekend perspective, this movie out of scale of 1 to 10 is a 9, maybe 9.5 for the general viewer. I think Black people are going to get more out of this movie than white people. I'm sorry, that's just the way that the culture is written into the film. So there's jokes that you're going to look across the theater and you're going to be like, and there's going to be somebody else is going to be like, why is he laughing, right? And that's fine. The inside jokes do give it an enhancement. However, on my second or third viewing, I might be like, you know what? This movie's got to be a 10. Because movies that are bigger than me are bigger than my rating system. So I can only go as high as I want. So right now it's a 9 working on a 10. I got to go find those other points.
See, what do you give it? How many?
I'm gonna bop it on my bias, but no, I really, again, I can't say enough about this, and I'm going to go beyond, because I have such an incredible, immeasurable respect and admiration for the likes of Jordan Peele and what he has done. I've followed him as Key and Peele. I have appreciated him in so many realms. And when he took over the Twilight Zone, like, I've loved it. So I was anticipating this for a while now. Before I even knew it was coming, I knew he was gearing up to get into all these outer spaces. And so I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm giving it an 11-11 bop. 11-11. Check the reference.
Final.
It gets all the bops. And that cast.
Yeah.
And again, his carefulness in choosing his cast. I just love him for so many reasons.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. And telling the history and the stories and just all of it. It wins.
Yeah.
It wins.
Okay. I give Jordan Peele, obviously he's a 10. I give the cast a 10 bops. And the story for me, like, I'm with Hilton. I need to watch it a few more times. I feel like there are so many things. I went in with too many preconceived notions and I was too distracted with that. And I was waiting for certain things. So for me right now, it's about an 8 bop, but I need to watch it a couple more times and let it. I mean, it's kind of good though. I think Jordan Peele would be happy that people walk away and they're like, I need to see that like 3 more times because I don't know. I need to let this like sink into the membrane. Like that's
membrane,
a compliment. I
think you're right. You're right.
It was thought provoking, and I'm a thinker, so I need to go and like think. I need time to think.
Well, since we love Jordan Peele, I want him to know again. Whenever we can have him on the show, we can get any of the cast from any of his films. Hands down, we got you. And I will say this: that the only 2 films I have downloaded on my phone are Us and Get Out. That's it. That's it.
She is the president.
That's what I watch.
You know?
Well, that's it. Most people got a lot. I only have the 2, and they're both.
She's the president of the Jordan Peele fan club appreciation. She is. We give it up. But guys, thank you for watching the BOP, the BLERD official podcast. Go watch Nope. It deserves the success that it's already earning.
Yep.
So yes, say yep to Nope. Guys, take care. We love you.
Tune in every Tuesday for a new episode of the BOP, the BLERD official podcast.